Welcome to Heartland Arms, where skills, safety, and training all come together. I'm Michael, and today our topic is going to be suppressors. It's a very misunderstood tool, okay? But it's widely appreciated by those who train and shoot regularly, okay? So a suppressor, which is also known as a silencer, but not for the reasons Hollywood would like you to think here, okay? So, a suppressor is a device that is attached to the muzzle of your firearm to reduce the noise, flash, and recoil of a shot. Despite its name, a silencer does not make a gun silent. It just makes it less deafening, okay? So let's go to the overhead. And I would like to let you know what I have here. This actually comes with a muzzle brake. Muzzle brake and a suppressor are two different things. You could have a muzzle brake on any kind of firearm. A silencer is a little bit different than a muzzle brake. But for showing, let's go to the front one here. That is what we're looking at there. Now a silencer will look very similar to that, but it has a lot of bafflings. There's a lot more going on than what this one has. This one is just a muzzle brake. Let's go to the front one here. But this is just makes it a little longer. It's a muzzle flash. This is a shotgun, so it just increases a little bit length on there. I think they made it designed to look like this, but this is not a suppressor, okay, or a silencer. Now, what a suppressor does, a suppressor will reduce the decibel level of a gunshot by trapping and cooling expanding gases, okay? So when this goes off, there's a noise that comes out the barrel and we're going to discuss how it works here in a minute. What it does is it helps protect your hearing for both shooters, bystanders. It does improve accuracy by reducing the recoil and the muzzle rise. Okay? Hunters will use these. People that are training will use these. Sports shooters, even law enforcement will use them to be so their firearm is safer and more controlled in those shooting environments. So what it does, it kind of works like a muffler on a car, okay? So inside the suppressor, there's all kinds of baffles and expansion chambers. That's why this is just a muzzle brake on here. It doesn't have any of the baffles or the expansion chambers in there. So when a gun is fired, hot, high-pressure gases follow the bullet down the barrel, okay? So what the suppressor does is it slows and redirects those gases, which reduces the sound and the flash. They do not silence the mechanical sounds of the firearm or the gun itself, nor do they eliminate the sonic boom of supersonic bullets. Now, if you want quieter shooting, you can get subsonic ammo. That's ammo that doesn't break the sound barrier, and it does make it a little quieter as well. So, you're going to ask me why suppressors are highly regulated. But they can offer a lot of real world advantages, okay? Anybody that has shot a firearm knows they're loud, and there's decibel charts that you could listen to and look at. All this does is dampen a little bit of that sound that could make these where they're less damaging on your ear. So suppressors are good for protecting your hearing. They're a good training aid. If you're using suppressors, a lot of times you're wearing ear protection as well. We talked a little bit about that. And trying to hear, if you're taking a class or you're getting instruction, if you have earplugs in, you have these on, and you're at a shooting range and other people are downrange shooting, well, it's hard to hear. So I think of them like a training aid where, yeah, I'm still wearing this, but those rounds that someone else are shooting, if those are suppressed, they're not as loud. I might be able to hear the guy standing next to me giving me instructions. They also reduce your recoil. This causes you to have a smoother follow-up shot, which is really good for new shooters. New shooters, for those follow-up shots, it takes them longer to get back on target. They're when you shoot, and then you don't just want to keep pulling the trigger. You want to get lined back up and shoot. That takes time, and reducing the recoil will get you on target faster and more accurate. It also causes less muzzle flash. So this will help in low light or hunting situations. Kind of helps that out there too. And it also is improved control. So if you do have to get that follow-up shot and you have to squeeze off a couple extra, it gets you more of a precision sight. It doesn't get as much kick is what it does. It's really about safety, not stealth. Okay, this is a safety tool, not a stealth device. They're two different things. Can you, like on a 22, can you get it pretty quiet? Yeah. On a 22 with subsonic ammo, yeah. If you're shooting 9mm, or it's not Hollywood, people. It's not gonna be quiet. You can't be in a room. You're not gonna be in a room with John Wick shooting around you and not know anybody's getting shot. It doesn't work that way. Hollywood makes these out to do things that they really can't do. Now, suppressors are legal in many U.S. states, but they're regulated by the National Firearms Act, okay? There are laws working on getting that changed, but they are heavily regulated, okay? To legally own one, it has to be okay in your state. You must be 21 years of age or older. You must pass a background check to own one. Most time you have to, for a firearm, you have to pass a background check anyway. You do have to pay the government a $200 tax stamp. So a lot of people see this as a way of the government just collecting a fee for it. You have to register the suppressor with the ATF, Alcohol, Tobacco, Firearms. You have to register it with them. And then you do have to wait several months before it's even approved. There are some places that will sell this, and while you're waiting for your tax stamp, they'll do all the paperwork. You pay them, they'll forward it on for you. And while you're waiting for approved, they will hold on to it, and then you could use it while under their establishment, under their guidance. Some places will allow that depending on how the laws are. So it's also very, very important to note, you cannot cross state lines with a suppressor without following the proper legal steps, okay? Even to a neighboring state. Make sure you follow every step that you have to do to go through that, okay? And then you must store and use it responsibly. Misuse carries severe penalties. But I shouldn't have to tell you that, because you're already a responsible gun owner and you're doing the responsible thing with your firearms anyway. So keep that in mind. You also want to be sure to check your state's laws, and some will still restrict or prohibit ownership. So you have to find out what you can do in your state. If you don't like your state laws, you could move. That's up to you. There are some myths and facts that I did want to cover before we get out of this show. So let's clear up some very common myths and let's get some facts here for you. Okay. Now, there's a myth that suppressors make the gun silent. If you watch John Wick, if you watched any kind of spy movie, you see this all the time. Suppressors, the fact of the matter is, suppressors reduce the noise, but they don't make the gun quiet. They don't take all that out. And you are still going to have to wear ear protection. Okay? So because you're using a suppressor doesn't mean it's going to be so quiet that I don't have to wear ear protection anymore. Yes, you still have to wear ear protection. Okay? Now, there's also a myth that anybody that has a suppressor, they must be a bad guy, because only bad guys use those. The fact of the matter is, suppressors are a legal tool used by responsible shooters, hunters, and instructors. The good guys use them too. They're just over fantasized in movies. Okay? Keep that in mind. And one of the biggest thing is, they're illegal. The suppressors are illegal. They make the gun quiet, they're illegal. No. In most states, they are legal. There are some states that they're not legal in, but in most states they are legal. Now, they are heavily regulated. They're heavily regulated in every state, and some states they're regulated so to the point where you can't have them. So I always recommend check your law to see if you are in a state that allows them and what your regulations are. And then again, do not cross state line with them. Make sure you're following steps that you need to do that. Okay? So always keep in mind, suppressors are not about secrecy. Okay? They're about safety. They're about controlling your firearm, and they're about responsible shooting. If you're curious, always start by learning your local laws, learning the laws around you. Also, understanding how that technology works. Knowing how to safely use that, safety practices in using that, all that comes with owning one. So keep that in mind as well. Make sure you always use one responsibly and follow your laws. Now, you can also like and subscribe on all our podcast players, all our video channels, and make sure you like, subscribe on Facebook, all our Instagram, social media sites. The more people we have liking and subscribing to us, the better our videos get out there. Again, we're not all about, just shooting firearms. We're going to get there, but it's all about education and understanding. That's what we wanted to focus on this channel. So no matter your experience, keep learning, stay safe, and be ready. Thanks for joining us on Heartland Arms. We'll catch you on the next episode.